Alright, now that I have this measured out, I am going to pull these onto my bar. To do that properly, I need to make sure that I have each of my strings going through as well. Let's see if I can actually do this without bonking into some of my other looms. This is my goulash. This is another of the Maycumbers. Yes, I have a very crowded workroom. Okay, so I put the first one on, and then actually, before I do that, I want to put this on. This, by putting a rubber band around the top, that will prevent anything from slipping off of the top as I'm pulling it through, hopefully. Okay, that does, however, mean that I have to pull like this. Now, you will notice that as I put these on, I twisted everything to the left. That means as I'm pulling them on, I need to twist back to the right so that as it pulls on, it's going to come straight across. That is very important, and a lot of people don't happen to mention that as they're winding on. So I wanted to point that out. I also want to point out where each of these comes up determines when each of these gets put back on. And by these, I am referring to the waxed yarn that actually holds this bar onto the back beam, or the back roller. Okay, so I did just put that second one on. So I'm going to pull this through and twist. There we go. Let's see when the next one comes up is going to be. So it looks like every other bout. Okay, so put that on. And pull this up. Next. And next. And this one. Yep. Is next. Okay, so as you can see, all I'm doing is I'm just slowly pulling these forward. Okay? A little bit at a time, and I'm kind of moving them back and forth because as I move this forward, they're all going to be shifting as well. Yeah, I like to do that. Okay. Now that I have this all put onto the beam, I am going to do what I usually do. And remember, these are my weights. This is how I actually make sure that I have enough tension. I have 2-pound weights. They don't have to be 2 pounds. You can use 1 pound, and that's usually sufficient. But I like 2 pounds because, I don't know, maybe I'm masochist or something. My doctor keeps telling me that I have to have more weight lifting exercises. So, okay. So I'm going to use these 2-pound weights as my weightlifting exercise. Okay, so I take each of these bouts and I smooth them out. And each of the weights has a separate string, and I loop the string around, I pull it through, and you'll notice I'm just kind of flipping that back to the back there. Kind of keeps them from tangling up on each other as they come through. Okay. And here we go. Loop it around. Tug it down. I move these weights. Every time the weights, as I'm winding on, as they get to here, I will then unchain more, straighten it out, and do the same thing every single time. It takes probably longer than, you know, obviously, than just having a friend hold enough tension for you. But I don't know, my friends usually have better things to do than every week come over to my house because I have a new project going on. So I learned very early on, how to do this for myself. So those weights are now on, and I am going to move the camera back. Yep. Sorry for that. We'll move this back up here so that you can then see how I wind this all on from here. Okay. So I have my bamboo sticks, which are going to separate the warp. And I don't like to just wind on like that. I actually prefer to loosen this as I pull it down. Now I have to be very careful as I am winding on, because I have one that has a knot here, and I don't want that knot to get caught. Actually, the easiest way for me to not get that knot caught is to make sure that both of these strings are in the same hole. Okay, so that should do it. This is heavy. So, as I wind on, something's catching. What is catching? Is it just heavy? Yes, it's just heavy. Okay, good. All right. So we wind that through. And as it winds on, as you go through, you want to make sure that you have one of these sticks to separate every wind as it goes through. Okay, so we've got it around. And it's going over the top. You know what I want? I want something other than the stick right there. I want, is it wide enough? That's almost wide enough. Something else. Let's do, this. That's almost too wide. This is how Becca improvises. You probably noticed I just snagged those from my hip. You know Becca? You know that she always has her scissors on her hip. Okay, so I'm going to loosen this up a little bit again, so that I can get this tucked up under there. What that's going to do is it's going to make it a little bit more even going around that bar. Okay? That's probably why it's a little bit more difficult, because it's going next to the rubber there. There we go. That's not bad. Okay. And so every other bout, once I get to the end here, every other turn, I'm going to put a stick. Wow, that just doesn't want to stay down. I'm going to put a stick right in there to separate all of the warp. Okay? That's what we're doing. I'm going to wind on the entire 6 3/4 yard.